Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the semifinal round of the 2016 Professional Disc Golf World Championships presented by Dynamic Discs. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined by Robert McCall. And Robert, not only is it a little bit wet out here, but I'm a little bit tired. And I didn't even play golf this week.
Yeah, it is. This is going to be an 8 o'clock tee time for all of our competitors, earlier than any of these guys who are good have played all week. I'm actually a little used to it because of early tee times. But yeah, it's pretty moist on the ground. However, almost no wind today. So we're looking for some low scores today. They're definitely not. They're going to be getting even less skip than usual because of this wet grass. But our competitors are used to things like that. I'm really excited to see some low scores today.
There's going to be a change of shoes before they head over to the final 9 for this afternoon. However, only 4 move on. Right. For most of the competitors. There's 72 out here this morning. 68 of them are going home or at least hanging up their bag after this round.
That's right.
It's do or die. It's now or never.
Yeah, this is the time to do it. I mean, if you're going to make a move, you've got 18 holes left. And so this is absolutely the time to get on the horse and make something happen. Really want to see if there's somebody who might hop onto that Final Four, or if we're just going to see these same competitors, some of the guys that we've grown accustomed to seeing this week, competing in the Final Four.
Well, 3 of them have been mainstays, and we've watched that 4th person come and go. We've seen Jeremy Colling, we've seen Nate Sexton, and now we have Cameron Colglazier with a hot round yesterday. He joins us here on the card. Of course, we got Ricky Wysocki, our leader, at 46 under par. That's a loud 2-minute. We've got Nikko Locastro at 39 under par. We've got Paul McBeth at 37 under par, and we mentioned Colglazier at 33. They've just blown the start horn. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV. This is the semifinals.
All right.
Good. Don't vibrate, silent, something like that. Go check your phones, please. Thank you.
Ricky Wysocki first to tee. He's going with a forehand on hole 1. And Wysocki caught up by a tree about a third of the way down the fairway. This hole is 355 feet and sets up very nicely for a forehand thrower.
Yeah, I think even with that drive that came out a little bit high and caught those leaves, Ricky should have a little forehand approach to the basket, probably with one of his BT Hard Harps. Nikko is using what looks like the same roller disc we've seen him throw, so I expect to see this one on the ground.
Nikko with a pro move right off the bat here this morning. In order to prevent slipping on the tee, he's put down a white towel, which he'll be planting his right foot on when he throws. And Nikko uncertain. He is in fact safe. He gets a safe indicator here from the gallery. And McBeth hitting a tree in a similar position to where we saw Ricky Wysocki. And the newcomer here to our lead card, Cameron Colglazier, going with a backhand.
Look, if you're not a player, or you're carrying a big camera in a media bag, you're trying to stay back a bit.
And Bill Newman, a PDGA marshal, letting everyone know about some of the ground rules. Anytime you come out to a big tournament, we see the galleries grow, which everyone loves, of course, in disc golf. However, it seems like sometimes they just want to get too far in on the action. So he's just letting everyone know that the line is usually the players, their caddies, the media, and then everyone else behind them. And just some common courtesy, make sure we have enough room for all of our players.
And that's one of the beautiful things about disc golf and where it is. We're still in kind of a growing pains type stage where our competitors are, easily accessible, and we can spend time talking to them. But during the tournament round is definitely not the time to do that.
And McBeth's approach shot was probably about the same as his initial drive was here on hole number 1. Ricky Wysocki's going to have a little bit more challenging angle. However, one of the most proficient forehanders in the game, so I don't expect any problems here. And a simple approach by Wysocki. The real story here this morning is there's what we believe is really only 2 competitors that even have a remote chance of running down Ricky Wysocki. And of course, that's Nikko Locastro and Paul McBeth. The 2 of them are going to have to dig deeper and find something within themselves here at Jones East and hope Ricky just plays, well, mediocre at best in order for them. If they're going to need to play a solid round, they're going to have to hope that Ricky doesn't show the performance that he opened up the tournament. He came in with a 14 under par. McBeth opened with a 15, and if they stay on that pace, they're just not going to catch him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's been coming into this week, I thought that we would see scores that were really tightly grouped together because of the nature of these courses. There are a lot of holes where you can get birdie, and then a lot of holes that you can attack for eagle out here at Jones East. And so coming in, a lot of people expected it to be very tightly grouped to the top, maybe only a couple of shots in between first, second, and third place. And instead of that, we've seen that from about fourth or fifth place down. It's been very tightly grouped there, but our top competitors have really distanced themselves.
And as we've seen earlier in the week, this is a very difficult green to run at because just as you saw with Colglazier, a disc has the chance to get up and move on you down the hill. And Ricky's putting stroke is on early as he's tapped in here from less than 20 feet. Nico's looking at about the same. Now, Nico's looking at a birdie here to start the round. A very effective roller here on hole number 1. Would you say roller is the best way to get at this pin?
I don't think it's the best way, but it is an effective way. It's very difficult to get it with a backhand. It's doable. I'm pretty sure Eric McCabe got this with a backhand both of the first 2 rounds. But forehand is usually the route that you're going to see more birdies out of. However, if you put a good roller down, it's obviously attainable to get.
And Nikko strikes first here with the only birdie on the card. And as our other players get to their lives, we'd like to thank our European contingency. A lot of people overseas already up and taking in our action. They're probably loving our 8 a.m. start as much as you and I may not have been thrilled about it. They are loving the 8 a.m. start. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Please go out and share and like the link. Colglazier representing the South, as I believe some of his posse told us last night. And Paul McBeth taps in. Nico's going to retrieve his mini after his birdie, the lone birdie on 1. We're moving to hole 2. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2016 PDGA Pro Worlds.
One of the more simple holes on the course, hole 2 leaves a wide open left side and a simple hyzer for right-handers around the trees to get in range of a birdie. A couple of small trees guarding the basket will knock down any shots with enough distance to test a strong putter. Wind gusts coming down the hill can attack players anywhere from the tee to the basket.
Hi, I'm Val Jenkins, and I hope you're sitting back and relaxing as you're watching SmashBoxxTV.
And Robert coming in just at 300 feet. We have hole 2. This is certainly a must-get birdie on this course. Would you say this is, in fact, the easiest hole out here?
Yeah, I would. For our top competitors here, they're just taking either an overstable fairway driver or a distance driver and just popping it out on a hyzer. It plays a little longer than 300. When you're standing on the box, you feel like you throw 300 and you'll be about 40 short. But these guys know how to compensate for that. I assume I would like to see 4 drives in the circle here.
And Nikko Locastro indicates that he's going to let the second card move across the fairway. They're going to move behind the pin. They've just teed on hole number 3. And so they go perpendicular to the basket directly behind where Nikko Locastro will be throwing. And as he stands down for a moment, I've got to say, we keep talking about how close this is for our competitors in order for McBeth or Locastro to possibly chase down Ricky Wysocki. And just like that, looking at the scoreboard, I've got to say, 46 and Locastro at 40, 6 strokes right off the first hole seems very, very manageable.
Yeah, this is the type of course that if Ricky were to just get maybe a couple of bad breaks or just not the greatest throws, I mean, Nikko could catch fire and catch up with him. I'm not going to say that I expect that to happen, but it is a possibility out of these courses.
And with his sharp edge disc coming in, he got more skip than he was accounting for. Wysocki with a forehand. This is going to be a felon.
Yes, this is a felon. That's correct.
And flashing just in front of the basket. Ricky Wysocki is so used to getting applause that it almost has become second nature, that he kind of puts his hands up and thanks the crowd whether there was an applause or not.
I wonder if he does it during practice rounds. I would really like to see those.
They say practice like you play. And McBeth gets a round of applause from the gallery.
Yeah, his is the best drive of the bunch so far. When you come down on a skip angle on wet grass, you'll tend to get kind of a little flare, or maybe just catch an edge and move a little bit more than you want. McBeth played that really well.
From looking at the rim of the disc that Cam had in his hand, I think this is a gold line stiletto. He's put it on a great angle just over the basket. Looks like he's going to be about 20 or 25 feet away.
I would go ahead and give a pro tip anytime you're out here for a morning round, just as when we instructed our additional cameraman. Use the road, use the sidewalks as much as possible. If you can keep your feet out of this wet grass, that's going to increase your longevity of your dry feet while you're out here. We're also looking at I-35 is on our right, so if you hear any traffic or noise, that's what you're hearing. When we were here for the Glass Blown Open, Dixon was talking about how I-35, if you just travel down that interstate, there's disc golf everywhere that goes around Des Moines, that goes down here to Kansas City, obviously into Emporia. There's plenty of golf if you're on that I-35 corridor. And I believe that even brings us down to Texas.
That's right. That is the road that I took up from Austin to Dallas, where I met up with Miles Seaborn and his wife Adrian, and we drove up together. So yeah, it is just a straight shot from Austin all the way up here on 35.
And Cameron Colglazier dials in on hole number 2, looking at outside of 40 feet. Solid putt by Colglazier.
Yeah, it looked like he was closer off of the box, but my depth perception has been incorrect on this hole twice now, so it's nothing new. Ricky's just going to bury his putt in the heart. Looked like he was at about 28 feet with a tree on his right side. We're seeing some great putts by our competitors to get started, get a good start on the course this morning.
And you mentioned earlier as we open that there is little to no wind currently out here. And as we're looking at the red dynamic disc wind indicator.
Trademark pending.
Yes. It is virtually still. It's just hanging there. These competitors may be treated to a relatively windless round out here. It seems like the wind has been less than normal this entire week. We had a little bit yesterday, but in terms of Emporia weather, I think it's been relatively calm.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's always gusty out here, and it can be a constant 15 and then gust up to 25 or 30. So it's always unpredictable. This week has been really, really good on the opposite end of that spectrum.
And Nikko is 2 for 2 with birdies on both 1 and 2. McBeth will tap in. And we're going to move over to hole number 3. Stay tuned. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV, covering the World Championships.
Notable for the red barn in the middle of the fairway, Hole 3 is the first hole to allow players to unleash their arms. Kansas summers often have players throwing directly into the wind, amplifying the difficulty of this hole and punishing those who don't know their discs. The elevation drops off from the tee, but returns past the barn and climbs up to the basket on a green guarded by multiple mature trees.
And it looks as if Nikko has this mashed right up the fairway. That has to be one of the most impressive air shots you'll see on this hole.
Yeah, that was incredible. I was just going to say, with the wind being how it is, I expect our lead card to attack this hole. When they throw distance drives like that, most of the time it takes the barn and danger out of play, so they can really just unleash.
Nikko has done just that. And Ricky with a similar angle, however, not enough height. That did not have the chance to come out of it. Gallery must really love him, because that was not his best effort. And on Wednesday, we saw Paul McBeth put it to within 50 feet and then convert. And today, he would have gotten at least another 20 feet out of that. However, he hits the tree on the right center fairway. He'll still have a long putt uphill, and he'll be able to run it hard, maybe 50, 55 feet. And for those who have not seen Colglazier before, he throws as far or further than anyone else in this group, and he comes up just short of where McBeth had landed. So three great drives, and Ricky Wysocki will have a simple approach shot here. 525 feet uphill. We've talked earlier in the week, especially on Wednesday when we were out here, that this is what many would still consider a bonus 2. There is discussion whether it's really truly a par 3 or par 4, but it is for sure a bonus 2 no matter what the par is.
Well, yeah, bonus 2 is I don't know how you say it's not a par 4 personally. 2 feels like an eagle on this hole. If I were to throw a shot in from, I don't know, where my normal landing zone would probably be 150 feet away or something like that. If I were to throw a shot in from there, I'm thinking that's an eagle. And so for these guys being such high level competitors, I understand it being a par 3, but if you're anyone but maybe these top guys, if you're taking a 3 on this hole, you'd be very happy with that. 3 is a great score on this hole.
And besides welcoming all of our European contingency, everyone that's up and awake taking in the action, we got to say huge props to the more than 100-person gallery that's out right here right now pretty early. I'm expecting this to only grow. It could be double or triple or larger by the end of this round.
Yeah, this is probably a little less than half of the gallery that we had yesterday, which was in the afternoon, and so I would really like to see this grow throughout the day. As more of our competitors finish up their round, I think we'll see them following as well. Ricky's taking his BT hard harp, and he's just put it directly under the basket. He's going to have no problem with getting a 3 right there.
Excuse me for a moment, I felt must have been a waft of sunscreen. I think someone recently applied, and I may have ingested a little of that. And Colglazier's just off the front of the basket. We spoke earlier in the week about how you can be aggressive running uphill at this putt. The only real danger would be if you were to hit the basket in a precarious way and it were to get on edge and roll back. But all these players are going to have the chance to run up. They just got to make sure they get it up and over that rim. And McBeth with a similar result to what we just saw from Colglazier. Again, putting uphill. You always want to make sure you give it a little bit more height. Looks like both of them are just short on their attempts. Nikko's looking to go 3 for 3 with a birdie putt right here on hole number 3. and never a doubt online, right into the middle, perfect height, perfect speed. Nikko has started this round with 3 consecutive birdies, and the rest are going to be just tapping in for par here. Robert, there's strokes to be made up on the next few holes. We'll see who's going for eagle and who will settle for birdies. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV. We'll be back with you after a word from our sponsors and Hole 4's preview.
Are you new to disc golf? Or maybe you've been playing for a while and just saw some pro smash it with a Dynamic Discs Defender. But you're just not sure that disc is right for you. If any of this describes you, then the Dynamic Discs Buyback Program is for you. Just go to any of our buyback retailers and purchase a disc from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs. Try out that disc for 14 days, and if you're not completely satisfied with that disc, take it back and get it replaced with whatever disc you want in the store of any brand. Go to dynamicdiscs.com/retail to find a buyback retailer near you and get out there and play some disc golf.
Hole 4 requires the players to carry over water off the tee and punch through or over the trees to get in good position to attack the pin on their second shot. The fairway has plenty of trees, but most are spread far enough apart to find a workable line to the basket. Two final trees guard any high approaches, putting them down outside the circle.
I'm John Pecunia. They call me Johnny Rumble. My PDGA number is 2540. I've been playing disc golf for 36 years. Disc golf has been such an important part of my life. It's brought many hours of happiness, friendships, and lots of competition.
Hi, I'm Des Redding, and you're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV. Check it out.
Flashlight LED disc golf discs just changed the game. The unique Disco Select feature allows everyone to choose their own color by simply pressing the middle button, then pressing it again during the first rotation of colors when the one you want appears. Or you can leave it in disco mode, rotating through the 6 different colors for the duration of your game. Designed by serious professionals, crafted from Night Eye's unrivaled sure grip material, and featuring Night Eye's patented fiber optics array, these discs strike the perfect balance of durability, stability, performance, and just plain awesomeness. With easily replaceable batteries and an uber-long life, the Flashlight driver, mid-range, and putter will shine as they blaze your path to victory, day or night. Night Eyes. Discover your solution.
And after his perfect start of 3 for 3, we have Nikko Locastro lining up what looks to be a huge turnover going up and to the left over the trees. Is this looking just to be an air shot, or do you think he's doing something else, possibly even turning this into a roller?
No, this won't be a roller. This is going to be that overstable distance driver he's been throwing all day, and he has just absolutely crushed it. He might need that to hit a tree, or else it might find the street out of bounds. It's very close to the street. And he gets an X from a spectator. Looks like he's gone out of bounds in the street left, which most of our competitors not on the first few cards would never really dream. He's not going to reach the green with a hyzer, so he was playing a conservative shot to the fairway here. He's going to take he's looking to take a birdie 3, and he's not really going to lose strokes to very many people. It would take a absolute monster drive and a really big putt to get an eagle 2 on this hole. And the risk that you run when you try that sort of shot is what happened to Nikko. Sometimes you could just clear all the trees and go out of bounds left. I had a competitor on my card go out of bounds right because they turned their drive over too much. Nikko's lining up a shot from the drop zone. He's come up just short of the tree in the middle of the fairway in between he and the basket. Looks like he's going to be about 25 feet away. Ricky's going to be next to throw, and he's beat the two trees that are relatively close to one another that could force a weird angle. So Rick has a BT hard harp in his hand, and as Rick is wont to do, looks like he's lining up a little forehand up shot.
And a routine approach shot there by Ricky Wysocki. And Colglazier, with a gorgeous turnover, puts himself within a few feet of the pin. We'd like to go ahead and assure everyone that if there is ever a time that you lose the stream, if you're watching, especially on Facebook, hang tight just for an additional moment or two. It will come back. Typically, we have it push out to our YouTube page. However, on Facebook, we'll say it's just a little bit more touchy. It's a little bit more delicate. So if we do drop the stream for even as much as 1 second, it shuts down all of the streams entirely. We simply have to just hit restart on those. However, rather than doing a quick restart in one spot, we have to do it in 4 or 5. So just make sure you stay tuned. It'll always come right back for you. And if you were watching a stream that had missed it, Ricky threw his approach shot to within a few feet of the pin. We've just seen the same by Colglazier as well as Paul McBeth. Nikko Locastro has pulled to within 5 strokes of the lead here. However, with the penalty, he's going to give at least one back here to Ricky Wysocki, if not more. He's looking at approximately 25 feet. And Nikko escapes with just a bogey here after the errant drive on hole number 4.
That's actually going to be a par, as we are on a par 4, so Nikko's in for a 4. The other 3 competitors have absolute drop-in threes. I would implore you to find another group with such close upshots for threes on this hole.
All 3 of them combined less than 3 feet. Very impressive. We're going to move over here to hole number 5. We'll be back with you in a few moments as we attack another par 4. Welcome back as we have moved over here to hole number 5, a second par 4 that we find here on the course. We also saw Nikko Locastro make his first mistake of the round. He's birdied the first 3 holes. However, he was able to get up and down and still walk away with a par. Ricky Wysocki, I believe, is standing down here for just a moment for the group on hole number 6. We know that's also another challenging par 4, so not really any advantage here to moving forward. So if they wait for the group on hole number 6, they may have a little smoother flow when we get there in a few minutes.
If any of our competitors are looking to get aggressive, these next 2 holes are the holes on which they'll do it. This hole 5 and the next par 4, hole 6, have both been eagled a few times this week. If I were to guess, I would say Ricky is not going to get aggressive. He has played pretty conservatively, just playing for birdies on these par 4s most of the week. So I expect to see that from him. If I were to guess, I think he'd probably throw a felon forehand just up the middle, and then just pitch up under the basket for his easy 3. However, Paul McBeth has his purple champion Thunderbird in his hand. That's the disc with which he goes for the green, and he got an eagle in the coverage that we had on Wednesday. Sorry about that. There are so many days out here. It's hard to keep track. But yeah, Paul McBeth has that disc in his hand. Looks like he's going to be attacking the green. I'm really interested to see what Nikko's going to do, because starting 2-2-2-4 out here is very, very good out here at Jones East. He's got at least a stroke or 2 on the rest of the field. I want to see if he wants to push and really maintain his aggressive play, or if he's just going to go for a just garden variety birdie here.
Well, Nikko has walked himself almost up the more than 2/3 of the way up the fairway. I'm not sure if he's just assessing where he is looking to land, if he's going to be a little bit more aggressive, or if he feels like he wants to attack the green, as you were just mentioning. I think he's eyeing up his shot. Interesting that when these competitors are out here warming up, they really dial it in. And I've talked to a lot of competitors throughout the years, and they always say, well, we come out, we practice the holes, and then we just stick to our game plan. And as you were just saying, Nikko may or may not be altering his game plan. I'm not sure he was out here going for eagles earlier in the week, and I'm sure the thought's at least creeping into his mind right now.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all to see Nikko go for this. When he was walking up the right side of the fairway, I don't think he's looking to just throw a nice layup shot a little farther up the fairway. I think he's going to go for it. And the reason he would be altering his game plan is, how many holes are we through this round? 4? All right, so we've got 23 holes of competition left. That means that he's only got 23 holes to make up 6 strokes.
Guess what is now 6?
On Ricky Wysocki. And so if Ricky's going to just continue to make birdie, Ricky's in the driver's seat. So he's basically saying to everyone else, if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to eagle. I'm going to get birdies. You're going to have to drop in eagles. And so he's forcing his competitor's hand a little bit.
Well, it's a little game of chess and certainly cat and mouse out here, as everyone has been chasing down Ricky Wysocki throughout the week. Again, we saw Paul McBeth open the tournament here on Jones East with a 15 under par. And a few hours later, Ricky Wysocki followed that up with a 14. And from there on out, it's been Wysocki out in the lead. And if you head out to pdgalive.com, you can check out the scores from your mobile device or, of course, from your computer. And we are checking right now. Our PDGA media intern, Jen, is telling us that Eagle McMahon has, in fact, eagled hole number 5. And if we can take a closer look at that, we'll see if that appears to be the only eagle that we've seen in our live scoring, except for, well, Eric McCabe.
Hometown boy.
And Drew Gibson. So apparently these guys are making it look easy, at least in the top few cards.
Yeah, this is definitely the most eagleable hole. That may not be a word, but now it is. Trademark pending. Eagleable hole out here on Jones East. It is uphill. It's about 480 feet, but these guys have 500 plus foot power. So all they're trying to do is put their disc slightly turned over or even on a straight line. And if they hit the green, there's going to be a putt. A lot of times if they go out of bounds, they're going to go out of bounds long. And long of the basket out of bounds is only about 25 feet away. So they're going to have a pretty decent look at saving a birdie 3, even with an errant drive. With guys like this and this type of power, going for the green it's not the most, it is a very aggressive play, but it's not one that they usually will lose a stroke on. A lot of times they'll be able to save a circle 3 if they throw it poorly.
And I will, in fact, catch up with Jen here in a moment. I know that they are working on getting as many cards and live scoring as possible. Frequently, live scoring is relied upon due to volunteerism that we can find out there. Jen, have you heard anything about the women's leader card as to the scoring and if it's being done? Or is it true that Katrina Allen typically keeps score for a group or not necessarily?
I'm not really sure if Katrina does it. I know she may do it on her own personal time for it, but Marty was checking in over there to make sure that somebody was doing live scoring for women.
All right, and Marty Gregoire will be looking into that as Ricky Wysocki is on the tee. And we spoke earlier of Ricky Wysocki simply playing into the open area. That's going to be a layup off the tee. Paul McBeth here going with a champion Thunderbird, and he's going for the eagle as we saw just a few days ago.
It looks to be falling left of where he wants it to land. The spotters are moving out of the way. It looks like he's gotten the red flag. I'm not sure if he's carried the long grass or not. But if that disc had stood up just a little bit more, maybe stayed a little bit straighter, I think he would have had the angle that he wanted. I was going to say, Cam Colglazier looks like he's got a triple X or a felon or something like that in his hand. Maybe a spark, but an overstable fairway driver. He's just taken a hyzer to a safe landing zone on the right side of the fairway. And if Nico's laying his towel down, it looks like he's got a couple of distance, high-speed drivers in his hand. He's going to go for this green. So he's making a statement right now. He is pushing for the lead. He wants to chase down Ricky.
And Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, but did his towel just get longer?
Yeah, by some type of magic, Nico now has about 3 more feet of space on his towel. I'm not sure how that happened.
And Nikko's going hard for this. However, that is not in a good spot. Not only is it OB, but it was, even had it come out of there, it looked like it was heading right for those trees. That was just basically a misfire by Nikko.
Yeah, I mean, color me surprised here. If someone's going to go for this green, straight over the tall grass right down the middle of the hole seems to be the way to get it, because you can effectively use the full flight of the disc and get it to flex back toward the basket. Nikko looked like he attacked this hole on almost a flat hyzer with what I think is the same star destroyer that he's been throwing all weekend for his distance shots. It's just I guess an unorthodox way to attack this hole. Maybe Nikko thought that if he threw it long enough on the right side, that would be safe enough that he might drop in for an 80-footer or a 60-footer. Nikko has no shortage of power at all, but a shot like that is a really, really tight fairway to execute. We'll walk up on the narrowest part of the fairway in just a moment, but around where that disc would have landed is only about maybe 10 feet wide. And so I'm very surprised to see Nikko go that route. And just as we mentioned earlier, it's really funny to see these competitors throwing great up shots for birdie threes. I mean, what will probably be drop-in birdie threes and getting no applause because I guess they didn't go for the green. So our gallery here is expecting, I mean, they just expect these guys to be perfect every time, and a lot of times they are. Both Cam and Ricky have taken harps toward the basket. Cam went with a VIP harp, which is the see-through kind of translucent plastic, and Ricky with what might as well be his signature BT hard harp. Looks like they've both come within 10 feet of the basket.
And Nikko puts himself within 5 feet of the pin after his standstill, patent pending shot. Wasn't quite as difficult as we've seen with a few of the other shots that are required out here, but Nikko taking his time, making sure that he's placed himself next to the pin. Again, even with that mistake, it looks like he's going to be carding a par 4 here on hole number 5. And McBeth is conceivably looking at a penalty birdie, which is not frequently said here in the sport of disc golf. Actually, he does have a very long putt, and the tree may come into play. I'm guessing that is approximately 50, maybe 55 feet, and he will have a tree that is in his, I'll say, the 1 o'clock position from where he's standing. However, again, this is McBeth for a penalty birdie here on hole number 5.
And as the Lost Boys have been known to say, bangarang Peter. He throws it in from about 50 feet by the road. No shortage of distance on the drive, just got it a little bit left. No punishment here. He takes a birdie 3. Having only thrown 2 shots on a par 4. Pretty incredible stuff.
We'll see both Nikko and Colglazier tap in. And thanks to their delay on the previous hole, we'll be somewhat clear on hole number 6. We've got a brief walk over there. Let's listen to a word from our sponsors and the preview for hole 6. We'll be back with you in a few moments.
The second of the scorecard killers, hole 6 seems to be played differently by every player who plays it. The left side plays more open but flirts with OB and wind more so than down the middle. The middle shots require players to roll or keep the disc flying straight uphill with a low ceiling. Once at the top of the hill, players must approach a peninsula green through more trees. Finishing this hole at the top of your card can be quite a feat.
And we're back with Ricky Wysocki on the tee here on hole number 6. And Wysocki hitting off of the drop zone tee area with his forehand felon. He should have a relatively routine approach from there.
Yeah, for someone with a proficient forehand like Ricky, being on the left side of the fairway is not a bad place to be. He's even got a little bit of a favorable skip back toward the right side. He'll have a little bit easier upshot than if it had just stuck at the drop zone.
Come in. Heads up, heads up.
And from hole number 5, we had a drive coming right at us. Everyone managed to get out of the way, and it is safely in bounds. And we have a forehander coming up and over us.
Really, guys?
And he has parked the short pin placement on hole 5. And I think we're going to see another forehand coming directly at us. So McBeth will hold up on the tee as we're waiting for the group behind us on 5, which by all typical etiquette is not the way you would do it at a tournament. Usually you stand down to the hole in front of you. These guys in the 18th card, I tell you.
How dare they?
And McBeth's shot is low and to the right. Shortly after Cam Colglazier throws, and the rest of the group, we'll talk about the women's scores moving up the fairway here. And finding that right side gap. Colglazier seems frustrated. However, the gallery is in approval.
That's right. He went with a gold line flow again, the same one that he's been using to attack the holes that he's been attacking. So it looks like it held straight just long enough to keep him in bounds. I'm not sure that he's going to have a close look at the basket, but he may be about 70, 80 feet away.
And Nikko trying to create his own salad here for lunch, taking off most of the leaves on those trees. He was a little bit high with his release, and he managed to clip the first set of trees, and then that carried him into the second tree, which he also clipped. And I'd like to move over to the women's live scoring, thanks to Marty Gregoire and the rest of the PDGA and PDGALive.com. We saw Paige Pierce open the round today with a birdie. However, then she followed it up with a bogey on 2 and a bogey on 3. Val Jenkins, on the other hand, has opened with 3 consecutive pars. And our birthday girl, Katrina Allen, goes par, birdie. So she is sitting 1 under par, Val Jenkins at even, and Paige Pierce at +1 through the first 3 holes during their semifinal round. And speaking of scores, we've also just looked and found that Shasta Chris out of California has tied up Johnny McRae. I believe Shasta is 4 down for the round, Johnny McRae 1 down, and there is a hot battle taking place in the Masters division. Again, Shasta Chris tied with Johnny McRae.
So Nikko's eyeing up his shot into the pin here. If he'd been maybe a foot or 2 more left, he'd have been in real trouble. There is not a whole lot going on behind that pine tree, but it looks like he's going to be able to just throw maybe a low hyzer at the basket. You really don't want this to come in on much of a skip angle, because it is easy to go OB left if you hit by the basket. Yeah, he has gone with a low hyzer. Looking for a bit of skip from there. He's landed well right of the basket, but he doesn't seem pleased with his shot. I'm not sure where it ended up.
And friend of disc golf, Mango is on the bag for Nikko Locastro. He's told us earlier in the week that he's helping players out with their mental state of mind during tournaments. He is on the bag. We saw him earlier on the bag this year at other events such as the Kansas City Wide Open. So he's out here helping out Nikko today. We'll see if Nikko can continue to make his push in his charge here in the semifinals. And the gallery approves of Paul McBeth's easy backhand approach to the pin. Wysocki has a forehand. He's going to outstretch around to the right of this tree with a 1-knee forehand shot. Ricky's approach shot comes up just left of the pin. We'd also like to congratulate Carlos Rigby as well as Pete May for securing their World Championships titles yesterday. Congratulations to them. They did not play a semifinals or a finals round here today. They were awarded their titles yesterday. This is Cam Colglazier from just short of 100 feet. And a full Anheuser to hyzer flight on his putter shot. He'll be within a few feet of the pin, looking for a tap in.
Now we see why Nikko was disappointed with his shot from behind the pine tree. It's come up about 45 feet short of the basket. Looks like he didn't really get any skip on that disc. This is for Nikko's birdie 3. Nikko goes with the Nikko Classic jump putt, but comes up just under the pin. He is not pleased with that effort. Ricky Wysocki is walking up to what looks like about 18 feet.
And we say it frequently, the heart of the chains. There's really no better way to explain it. Right on point, perfect height, not at all off center, just comes right in, no problems. McBeth the same there. A few moments ago we were standing down on the tee of 5, what seemed like a long delay for the players. That is going to favor them nicely, as the group that was on 6 had then moved on, and what looks to be no wait on hole 7. This is very common that hole 7 has a lengthy backup, usually anywhere from 1 to 3 groups. However, as they paced themselves a few holes ago, that's going to work out in their favor. I believe we're going to move on to hole 7 with a minimal wait, if any at all. And Robert, the great golf continues here on our leader card during the semifinals round. Cam Colglazier will be tapping in, and we're excited that you guys are here and joining us. We'll be here all day with live disc golf, the finals for both the women and men to follow this afternoon. Stay tuned. After a word from our sponsors, we'll be back with you for hole number 7.
Hello, it's me, your pal, JC. I've heard your prayers for an improvement in your disc golf game. Well, JC here is going to go ahead and throw you a pretty big bone. I present the Traveler. It's an overstable driver by Full Turn Discs. Isn't it heavenly? It's the newest disc on the market. And you can take it from the highest authority that this is the disc. You're welcome. Jesus.
Hole 7 is the last of the card killers on Joan East. OB entirely down the left-hand side and guarded by plenty of towering trees down the middle. Most players opt to flirt with the parking lot down the right-hand side and hope to end up having a look at the green. Errant shots can land in the middle of the trees and be entirely blind for a pitch out or approach. The green sits downhill at the end of the fairway, surrounded by OB grass and guarded by 3 trees. Few players escape these holes with no circles on their cards, and tournaments are won and lost in this section of the course.
Flashflight LED disc golf discs just changed the game. The unique Disco Select feature allows everyone to choose their own color by simply pressing the middle button, then pressing it again during the first rotation of colors when the one you want appears. Or you can leave it in disco mode, rotating through the 6 different colors for the duration of your game. Designed by serious professionals, crafted from Night Eye's unrivaled sure grip material, and featuring Night Eye's patented fiber optics array, these discs strike the perfect balance of durability, stability, performance, and just plain awesomeness. With easily replaceable batteries and an uber-long life, the Flashflight driver, mid-range, and putter will shine as they blaze your path to victory, day or night. Night Eyes. Discover your solution.
Here on hole number 7, we've just been notified that they are in fact clear on the green. So our competitors should be getting ready in a few moments. They're clear on the green. And Ricky Wysocki has indicated he's going to wait for them to move out of the way on the tee of hole number 8. As some of these competitors throw a long way, if they find themselves coming in on the drive here, it may actually affect the concentration and the play that is on the tee of 8. So we're going to probably be catching up with you for at least another minute or two, and in doing so, that gives us a great chance to look at the scores. Paige Pierce is sitting at 9 under par overall. Katrina Allen is now at 7 under par, tied with Valerie Jenkins. Katrina having the hottest round amongst the top 4 women. She's sitting 1 under par for the round. That means she has currently picked up 4 strokes on Paige Pierce. Paige is at +3 for the round. Valerie Jenkins sits at +1 on the round. And Sarah Hokum is sitting at +2. It really looks as if it is a 3-woman race at this point, with Jenkins, Pierce, and Katrina Allen. Sarah Hokum, I don't believe, has enough time to try and get back into the hunt. And moving over to the Masters field, we see Shasta Chris is now 5 under par for the round. Johnny McRae is at 2 down for the round. So that 3-stroke differential has in fact tied them up overall. They sit both at 29 under par. Chris Smith, who's been leading for most of the week, and on that leaderboard is sitting at 27 under par. Chris Sprague, out of the Quad Cities, is at 26 under par. Ken Climo sits at 22 under par, and JD Ramirez sits at 20 under par. It's not quite safe to say yet, but we may see a new Masters champion that isn't named Schultz or Climo.
Yeah, well, we're definitely not going to see Schultz as the Masters champion because he's playing Open this week, which I thought was a really interesting decision for him. I don't know if he really was just excited about the courses or wanted to compete for another Open title. But yeah, Barry chose to play Open this week, and yeah, I think Ken Climo is 7 shots off the lead right now. That's quite a big gap to close within just the rest of this 18-hole round, and then a final 9 if you were able to move into the top 4. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite the race to see who ends up taking the top spot in Masters and who's going to be their first-time Masters World Champion.
We have Ricky Wysocki is on the tee and ready to throw here on hole 7. And he's going out near the flagpole. How's that shot going to look for him?
That needs to get left if it's going to be in bounds, and he gets the green flag. He's probably going to be near the parking lot's edge, but with how far that disc traveled, he should have a wide open look at the basket. So in flirting with that out of bounds area, it seems like he's given himself a pretty good look at a birdie 3.
He's found himself near the tee on hole 8.
Paul McBeth just puts the hurt on his blue swirly Star Destroyer, and his is carrying a little farther left than Rick's. If it sits down where it looks like it sat down, he's going to have an even better shot to the green than Ricky does. At the same time, though, if he's a little bit too far to the left, he might be obstructed by the last of the trees in the fairway.
Colglazier looking to duplicate the effort that he saw by McBeth. Seems as if that shot was at least released somewhere between McBeth's and Wysocki's. And in fact, he finds himself right next to Ricky Wysocki. And Nikko Locastro's shot seems to mimic more so that what we saw from McBeth. And Nikko, who was off to a very hot start, pulled himself to within 6 strokes of the lead on Ricky Wysocki, has now moved back to 8 behind him. Paul McBeth still 9 strokes down. Cameron Colglazier, well, I'd like to say he's just along for the ride. He's sitting 13 back, playing solid golf, but solid isn't going to do it here today. You need exceptional.
Oh yeah, and out here at Jones East, I mean, just like I said earlier, Ricky is proving that if you get a par on a hole, you're going to lose a stroke to me. These competitors are going to have to do something spectacular to try and catch more than 1 stroke per hole on Ricky out here. The tee shot on hole 7 is just a power hyzer for these guys who can throw, 500 plus feet. But the landing zone is kind of a difficult one to judge. A lot of times they're going to want to aim at the flagpole that they see off the box and just try and swing in left of the parking lot. The farther up the fairway that they get, the more likely they're going to have an open look at the green, and it looks like that's exactly what our competitors are going to have. And this is an absolutely fantastic grouping of drives on hole 7 here. None of them are more than 30 feet away from hole 8's tee box, which means that each of our competitors will just have a little, they could pick a straight shot to this basket. They could take a small sweeping hyzer to this basket. They've got a lot of options here. Cam goes with a bit of a turnover, and he doesn't release it like he wants to. That swings out to the left, and it's probably going to leave him about a circle's edge putt, if not even a little bit farther. Nico's got his the Cenas in his hand. Oh, no, this isn't the Cenas. It's the upshot putter that he threw on hole 5, and he swings just inside of the last tree. Doesn't seem to be happy with that effort, but I think he's going to have a decent putt at the basket. McBeth is just taking a jump putt with his McPro AVR just to make sure that he gets the line exactly right. Both Ricky's and Paul's drives, actually along with Nico's and Cam's, are in a spot where if you were afforded the opportunity to just walk down the fairway and place your drive where you wanted to, within reason, I mean, this is where you would place it. These guys have thrown fantastic tee shots.
And we wouldn't be doing our job here, Robert, if we didn't at least briefly discuss the mild controversy that took place here during the opening round of the 2016 PDGA World Championships, which is when Paul McBeth had ultimately played this hole incorrectly. He did not treat this as an island green in which it was designated to be, and he had thrown from where he was last in bounds, and he ultimately got up and down, carded what I believe was a par. But once he had realized it in playing this hole the second day, during the second round, he had gone up to an official and said, "I believe I played the hole incorrectly." We see Cameron Colglazier come up just short, and McBeth had indicated that he played the hole incorrectly, and he was then later assessed a 2-throw penalty. So instead of what he thought was a 15 under par, became a 13 under par.
That's right. And with this green, like you said, Terry, you do have to come to rest on the island green in order to move to the island green. And Paul was not the only competitor that misplayed that during the week. We actually had a lot of competitors misplay that. Paul was the first one to realize and reported it to an official himself. So I said it before on the broadcast, and I'll say it again. Props to you, Paul McBeth. That was an integrity move to say that you played the hole incorrectly, and it's that really led the way in the rest of the field. Confessing their mistake and taking their 2-shot penalty. That's the spirit of the game that we need.
And Locastro uncharacteristically is off his mark there for that relatively short putt. It was in fact downhill. And Ricky taps in easily. We will see the same here from Paul McBeth. So a little less drama here on hole number 7 today, as the island green is treated as such. We also see Paige Pierce struggling here during this morning round here on Saturday during the semifinals. We'll check back in with the women's scores after we move over here to hole number 8. Stay tuned. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV.
Hole 8 is a welcome sight following the previous holes, but it certainly isn't simple. Drives must carry over the OB grass and not trail too much to the right to be swatted down by the trees near the road or risk going OB on the pavement. The green plays relatively flat, but long shots off the tee or on approach have a bad habit of wandering OB behind the basket.
I'm Paige Pierce. You're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
Here on the 370-foot par 3 hole number 8, Ricky Wysocki with a routine forehand out to the left-hand side.
That was his first run felon that he threw right there. Just those same yellow early run of felons that he really likes for long, straight forehand shots with a reliable finish to the right.
And that is a misfire here by Paul McBeth with his Metal Flake T-Bird 3 with an McPro AVR stamp, and that has trickled out of bounds on the left side. Not a shot we would expect from Paul McBeth here on the 8th hole.
That was an absolutely beautiful shot by Cam Colglazier right there. Turned something overstable over just slightly, and he's come to rest within 15 feet of the basket. Once we approach the green, you'll be able to see just how unfortunate Paul's skip was. There's actually a little ditch between where his disc landed and the street, and that would catch a lot of discs, but today he's just skipped right through.
Nikko playing a flex shot, which has a little more stability than he was accounting for, and it finishes on the left side, but he'll have a putt from there. As we move down the fairway, we'd like to thank all of our tremendous supporters and sponsors, and we have one of them joining us here today on site, taking in all of the action, and that is Jace from Infinite Discs. First of all, we'd like to thank you for your support of the broadcast. We'd also like to thank you for your support. We saw that you were a T-sign sponsor at the Country Club Hole 18 yesterday. So, Jace, first of all, welcome, and second of all, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here, Terry.
So, tell us a little bit about InfiniteDisc.com and what you're doing for everyone in the disc golf community.
Yeah, we're one of the top online disc golf retailers. We take a picture of every disc that we list online so you can see the exact color and stamp and everything. We also just launched a new disc golf app that is now available on Android devices, and we're still in the testing process for iOS, so watch for that. But good scorekeeping, also rate your courses. We have an infinite rating similar to the PDGA rating, but also for your casual round, so you can play every round like it's a tournament, keep yourself competitive. So we got that going.
It sounds like plenty of things to do. I've dabbled in a lot of the things you just mentioned, and that is a lot of work. And talk a little bit about some of your policies, where you're shipping out of, and how quickly everything gets out.
Yeah, we ship out of Logan, Utah. Most discs will ship out 2 to 3 days, some of them 3 to 5, the smaller orders. But we, Logan, Utah. So.
And this is Paul McBeth here to try and save par on hole 8. And McBeth has not only not drawn metal, but he also filtered toward the OB road on the other side of the basket. He came up short, and he will be safe. However, he's got a little bit of a tester to come back for his bogey 4. Ricky Wysocki can gain at least 2 strokes with a birdie here. And a little gentle fist pump in the signature Ricky Wysocki wave after his shot. Jace, you said you take a picture of every disc so people can see the color of the disc, and the color of the stamp. There's a lot of particular people out there. That's a pretty nice service.
Yeah, we definitely will have people calling still, checking for other things. We're more than happy to go look at the disc while we're pulling it, check the dome and all that. So.
And Nikko is in, and you sound incredibly customer service orientated. So if people want the exact disc, possibly even find out the dome or maybe the grippiness or the feel, all they got to do is give you a call or check in on the site.
Yep, just give us a call. My warehouse guys maybe won't appreciate me saying that because they'll get all the calls while I'm gone this week. But yeah, give us a call. We'll look at the dome. We'll check out what you're looking for and try to get everybody taken care of. Customer service is a big thing for us.
All right, we are going to move to the hole 9 across the street. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBox TV, and thank you to Jace and InfiniteDisc.com.
Hole 9 is one of the most fun and challenging holes on the course. A long downhill stretch is bordered by OB on both sides and eventually curves to the left into a thinning and slightly elevated green. While the slope of this hill allows for significant distance off the tee, players must have excellent control to keep their discs inbounds and in line for the basket.
What does it mean to grow the sport? Some of us want to see it on TV. Some want to see big crowds of spectators. Maybe all of that will come true. Right now, I just want to get out and throw. I just want to watch my disc fly. Just me and the course.
And Wysocki gets a very favorable kick out after hugging the left side. He hits the secondary tree, and rather than it being pulled in and sucked in, it hits and rolls back into the fairway for him. That could have just saved him possibly a stroke. And that has gotten a red OB flag for Cameron Colglazier. Looks like Nikko thinks the tees may have dried up enough. He's not going with the towel.
It's hard to tell what Nikko is lining up, but it looks like he may be looking at the big anhyzer around all the trees. Yeah, that is what he's lining up. He's put a good move on it, and that's got a good angle. As long as it beats the trees on the left side of the fairway, he should be good. Oh, wow. Long after I thought that would be on the ground, it came back into frame in the middle of the fairway. That was a great shot by Nikko. Paul's lining up a Star Destroyer forehand out over the street. Paul gives it the necessary height to get over everything, and he swings back into the middle of the fairway. That's a very safe, very smart shot from Paul McBeth. If you ever have the opportunity to come to Emporia and play some of these courses, you'll understand just how impressive some of these shots are. Sitting at home, I know I've done this before as a very mediocre, emphasis on the mediocre disc golfer. I've sat at home and looked at these shots and have thought, oh, I could throw that shot, or oh man, that's an easy three. I can't believe he just got a four there. The shots and the rounds that these players are putting together out here are truly impressive. This course is more difficult than it looks because there are so many places that it can bite you, and with so many birdies out here, it feels like if you miss one and somebody else takes a birdie on your card, it can be a real mental grind. It can feel like your round is going downhill when in actuality there are a lot of holes left. But if you're a little loose with your tee shots, a little errant with your up shots, your score can add up really quickly. And so this is an excellent course to play. I'm glad that we get to see the World Championships competed on this course this week. Ricky's gone with a hyzer just to lay up, and he's hit a tree about maybe 100 feet in front of him. Is it an extremely errant upshot? He was clearly just playing for the four. He does come to rest in bounds and by the road, which will give him a good angle to attack the basket, but that's really the first, I'd say, considerable misfire that we've seen from Ricky Wysocki today.
Paul McBeth waiting for the gallery to clear out of the way. We have our PDGA Marshal, Bill Newman, directing a little bit of traffic, making sure that the road is clear of people and distractions or anything that may keep him in or out of bounds here. And we'd like to mention Shasta Chris has pulled ahead of Johnny McRae. They continue to battle stroke for stroke. Shasta Chris with a 1-stroke lead in the Masters division. This is Paul McBeth with his long approach here on 9.
And from Paul's lie, you have an interesting option afforded to you, one that Paul looked like he was taking into consideration, which is that you can throw a flat shot that stays on the road and kind of just flies forward for a considerable amount of time. And then if you're on the road with enough speed, it's going to fall in bounds. But the risk of a shot like that is if that hits the road with any type of hyzer, I've seen discs land within 1 feet of being back safe in bounds, and then just skipping left and never coming back. And so it's a really interesting upshot to throw. Paul's taken the road out of play a bit by throwing his turnover rock 3 to what looks like about 25 or 30 feet from the basket.
And Colglazier gets the green flag as he's thrown from his OB lie off of the tee. And Nikko, who had put a great drive down, he has what I believe is going to be the easiest approach here of the group. He's got multiple options, as you just mentioned before. He could go with an anhyzer out over the road, or he could go with a hyzer around the trees on the right side. Either way, he's got to worry about the angle of how it's coming down and whether or not it could skip towards the road or possibly the OB on the other side.
And with the putter in his hand that he's been throwing for slight turnovers to straight shots all day, I expect this one to go around the left side of the tree in the middle of the fairway. Looks like he's going to play into the slope on the left side, try and put this one close.
And he's gotten it up in the air. That's carrying down toward the OB. However, it'll come up short of the OB. He gets a green flag. We're also seeing the struggles continue by by Paige Pierce, as Katrina Allen and Valerie Jenkins are trying to hunt down that first place spot over on the women's division. And Ricky's going to look for that to hopefully check up in some of the grab grass, as we've been calling it throughout the week. I really have to make sure I concentrate on that enunciation.
Grab grass.
That is correct. So we invite you to check out PDGALive.com. We'll try to keep you on top of all of the women's scores as best as we can. In a little turn of irony, I'll say, we have many of our viewers saying, hey, get over and cover the women. There's a bigger, better battle going on there. Frequently we have the request to be covering the top men, but the women are putting on a show and they're battling it out with 3 of them all vying for the title right now.
Absolutely, and these ladies are incredibly good at disc golf. I've had the opportunity to throw with a couple of them in person before, so I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. But just watching their shots yesterday and knowing the shots that I threw so incredibly poorly out here, just makes it really impressive to watch. They shred fairways and they make putts.
And McBeth will get back the one he gave away, or at least one of the 2 he gave away on the previous hole. Solid birdie here on hole number 9. This is Wysocki from just a few feet inside McBeth, and this is for his par. And as expected, Wysocki has answered from a nearly similar distance. Locastro just a few feet inside of that. This is also for birdie.
If you've never had the opportunity to watch Ricky putt in person, it's really strange. It looks like a pitch putt coming out of his hand, but it has the speed of a spin putt, and he just fires it at the center pole, which is why we see so many just dead center, heart of the chains hits from Ricky. It is really impressive to watch in person.
Nikko Locastro, no problems from what we were deeming yesterday his classic Nikko putting stance. And rather than cutting away to a word from our sponsors, we're going to walk down the fairway with Dave Felberg as we move over here to the short walk that we find on hole number 10. And just last night, Dave, I was talking about when we saw Nikko Locastro battling it out in 2008 on the leader card, and for much of the tournament he had the lead, and you were going back and forth with him, and as history says, you pulled that one out with the 2008 World Championship title. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, actually. It's fun watching Ricky, helping him come up through our company and watch him grow, and seeing him just, try to get that title. It's fun to watch someone, try to achieve the same goals I put forth myself, and watch him achieve them is really exciting.
And what's not exciting is your injury and some of the health challenges that you've had this year. We saw just before the World Championships began, you made an announcement as to how your recovery is going, and give everyone an update out there.
Looks like I'll be back in January, start practicing in the fall. They said the bone needs to fuse all the way, so for anybody at home, I'll be back full time in January, and only Masters events I'll be really playing is the Masters World, since it's a separate event. And I look forward to getting back out there because it's tough watching these guys play, but it's also fun supporting the company. So,
well, good to hear that you're out here walking around, and we wish you a quick road to recovery. And let's sit back and see if one of your own teammates here, Ricky Wysocki, can continue 8 up with McBeth 10 behind him and Colglazier 14. Are you going to call this one yet?
It's not over, but if you can hold within 1 stroke per hole going to the final 9, you should be in good shape, and I think that's what Ricky's looking to do, and I think by the end of this round you'll see he'll be up by 9 or more.
And Nikko was prepared to tee here on hole number 10. However, he sees some putting taking place on 11, so he's going to stand down for just a moment. We have our second card throwing their putts on hole number 11. Eagle McMahon is in. And many of you saw earlier in the week, Paige Pierce rang this hole up, hole number 10, in a single throw. That also landed her the 10th spot on ESPN's Sports Center on Saturday night. This 340-foot hole number 10, dialed in by Paige Pierce, throwing her convict. Right now, Paige is in a battle of her own amongst Val Jenkins and Katrina Allen, and that is pressure at its finest. You're talking about a 3-time world champion being chased then by another 3-time world champion, as well as Katrina, who's won her own world championships. We'll look forward to seeing that drama unfold during the final 9 coming later this afternoon.
That's right, and for all the Smashies out there who have been asking for us to cover the women's field, we are going to. This afternoon in the final 9, we will get to see a world champion crowned. It sounds like it won't be a new world champion. It'll be a multiple-time world champion. I'm excited to see who comes out on top.
Here's Nikko Locastro on the tee of hole 10.
And Nikko gets a favorable kick through the trees. He was a little off the left side, but found a gap, and looks like he's kicked through those to maybe 35 or 40 feet. Looks like Paul McBeth's got a T-bird in his hand. He's put a great line on that T-bird. It turned just a bit, skipped just under the basket. What a fantastic shot by Paul McBeth. He gets a round of applause that he deserves right there. That was a great tee shot. Ricky's picked his opto compass for this shot. He's looking for that to turn a bit more. Oh, and it sneaks through the gap on the left. It does get a little kick to the left afterwards, but he's looking at probably about 30, maybe 25 feet from that shot. I'm not positive on this, but I think that's a long bowman that Cam just threw. Great line to the basket. He goes just to the right. He's going to be a little bit past the basket, maybe about 20 feet, but he absolutely scared that basket on the way by. A great group of tee shots by our competitors here on the 340-foot hole 10.
I'd like to go ahead and recognize our supporters and sponsors throughout the week. Those include Shop Tom, Tina Stenitis of Whale Sacks, Rick Hushain on graphics, Infinite Discs, ValueNet Fiber, Full Turn Discs, Sally West, Synergy Disc Golf, Chris Cobb, Paragon, Night Eyes, the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Dynamic Discs, and of course, the PDGA.
We couldn't tell so much from our vantage point on the tee box, and Nikko's kick has landed him behind the biggest tree in between the tee box and the basket. So he's going to straddle out. Looks like he's trying to throw. He's going to have to navigate around the tree somehow. Whether he goes with a hyzer or anhyzer side is totally up to his discretion, but he's got a very proficient straddle putt. The question now is if he just has a line to the basket. Oh my goodness, Nikko splits the gap between the big tree and the one growing out of it and nearly throws it in from about 40 feet. That was a very, very gutsy play. That's what we've come to expect from Nikko. He's going to take chances when he needs to. Here we've got Ricky Wysocki from 28 feet. He's going to have to go to a straddle.
And Ricky is in on that right side, not quite the center chain that we're so used to, however, obviously just barely off his mark, still very effective. And Cameron Colglazier looks to also be about 25 feet. He's gone past the pin. And no problems there for Colglazier. As our gentleman put out here on hole number 10, it is certainly worth recognizing that both holes 10 and 11 here at this Jones course have now been featured on SportsCenter's top 10. Last year we saw Billy Engel ace hole number 11. That found him in the number 2 spot on SportsCenter's top 10 during the Glass Blown Open. as Nikko is in for his 3, and finally Paul McBeth will be able to clean up his 8-footer here for his birdie 2. And we're going to have a short walk over to the now famous hole number 11 here at Jonesy's. Stay tuned. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxxTV.
The site of GBO's first appearance on SportsCenter, hole 11 plays straight downhill and across the pond into the green on a hill. Players must pass down the middle of 2 mando trees, and most will need to decide between forcing across the pond or laying up. The pavilion and road behind the green are also OB, but rarely come into play.
Hole number 10, Rick 2, I got 3, you guys all 2, I 3.
And our competitors are waiting as Eagle McMahon is putting in his putt on hole number 12. That hole should not come into play. However, it could be distracting to either the putters or our lead card as they're throwing their tee shots. Nate Sexton, who we saw on the lead card yesterday. Nate putting at the elevated basket. And that is a good sign to see. That means we'll be clear on both holes 11 and 12 for our tee shots. This is Paul McBeth. And McBeth is looking for that to hyzer finish. It's coming toward the pin and lands no more than 5 feet. Not quite the ace we were expecting, but a great shot by McBeth.
That's right. He has just absolutely parked it. That was a fantastic tee shot.
And that turns over for Wysocki. He does have enough to clear the water. However, he's going to be left with at least a 30-foot putt. And Colglazier's shot comes in to pin high. He's right looking at the basket from 390 feet away. And again, that's with a strong hyzer finish. Nikko is going to be left side looking uphill at a putt. And a moment ago, we were going to bring you the scores from PDGALive.com. We'll still do that. However, just in the last few seconds, they've updated. Briefly, we had a 3-way tie amongst the women. However, Katrina Allen has now pulled ahead by a stroke. She has the hottest score in the group currently, sitting at 3 under par. As Val Jenkins sits at even, and Paige Pierce is at +4. So similar to what we saw yesterday, a huge swing. I believe it was 6 or more strokes between Pierce and Katrina, and as of right now, there is a 7-stroke swing back the other way in Katrina's favor. This battle continues. As you said, Robert, we're going to see a world champion pick up another world championship title by the end of the day. Katrina Allen in the lead by a stroke over Val Jenkins and Paige Pierce. Robert, now that we are 11 holes into this round, it's worth noting the grass is still wet. Even though we're in the sunshine where we've been for the last few holes, the grass is still wet, and it still affects the flight of the disc and how prepared these players are, making sure they have enough towels, birdie bags, whale sacks, whatever it might be. Still wet grass 10 holes in.
Yeah, that's right. These guys are veterans, though. I mean, if they don't have enough towels in their bag, they are absolutely kicking themselves. Yeah, they're going to be prepared for this. Other than the wet grass, this is a nearly perfect day for disc golf. It is sunny out. It's not too hot. We've got just a slight breeze now. It's been beautiful. Nikko Locastro is about at 33 feet, maybe just outside the circle in the Nikko Classic stance, looking for his birdie on hole number 11.
And the triple fist punch by Nikko, frustrated as he did not get that up above the rim of the basket. I don't believe at any point during the flight. It was a very nice straight line at it, however, just not enough height. Nikko's going to be frustrated as he's likely giving away a stroke to the rest of the lead card here. I'm expecting a solid putt here by Ricky Wysocki. And somehow that flips up on the backside. Ricky Wysocki just off center of the right chains. And that falls to the ground. Ricky Wysocki, we had fully counted that, expecting that was going to go in. It looked to be solid right. However, just not quite enough in that center. Cam Colglazier now is thinking, all right, well, maybe I can pick up a stroke on at least two of these guys. And he will do just that. McBeth with chair in hand. Holding chair, don't care. That's Paul McBeth.
Is that a thing?
It is now.
Oh, that's the thing now.
We know
right.
Paul McBeth is a trendsetter. Infinite Disc is also a sponsor of hole number 12 here at this Jones East course. We'd like to thank Jace and the crew again. We're going to be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors and a whole preview to the gorgeous hole 12 at Jones East.
Hole 12 plays back across the pond and challenges players to get close enough to the elevated basket to putt comfortably. Players again must pass to the left of a mando tree located on the right side of the hole and have a higher risk of a bounce back that rolls into the water if they come up short. The elevated basket is the highest in the park, making 10 and 20 foot putts seem scary as the winds come and go.
And Paul McBeth on the tee. After birdieing 9, 10, and 11, following up his bogey on 8. And he's put himself just off the wood chips, no more than 12 feet from this elevated pin.
Looked like he hardly followed through on that shot, so I wasn't expecting it to get as close as it did, but I mean, he's Paul McBeth. I guess he knows how to throw things.
And Colglazier almost nearly as effective. He's maybe 4 or 5 feet outside of McBeth's shot as he looks at a 18-footer to the elevated pin.
With the wind at their back today, I'm guessing that this is a BT hard harp from Ricky. And it skips off of the rock assembly a little bit deeper than he would have wanted, but he's only at about 20 feet putting back to this elevated basket.
Nikko sporting his patriotic USA Olympic shorts out here today. And thinking of the day that it is, we mentioned earlier, it is Katrina Allen's birthday. And if you were to write a story about winning a world championships, I've got to say, winning it on your birthday, I'm not sure it gets any better than that.
Yeah, I have a birthday in September, so I can just guarantee I won't be winning a world championship on my birthday.
I'll just wait to the U.S. Masters in a number of years.
Yeah, give me a few years and I'll be there. That's great. I'm
just looking out for you, buddy.
Hey, thank you. We do want to give you a score update from the men's open division. We've got a couple players who are really putting together a good round. Eagle McMahon is currently sitting at 37 under par. That's only 3 shots back of Cameron Colglazier. He's currently 9 under par through 11 holes, which is a great round out here. We've got also Cam Todd is at 36 under par. He's 7 under through 11, and then putting a couple of solid rounds together from 1 card back are Eric McCabe and Bradley Williams. Eric is at 8 under through 10, and then Bradley is at 7 under through 10. So we've got some competitors making moves. In between those two, we've got Nate Dawson, Nate Sexton, who are at 34 under par and 32 under par.
And as you mentioned, what we're seeing for the people that are hoping to challenge maybe that 4th spot in the open men's division, we see that Shasta Chris and Johnny McRae are through 14 holes, and they are knotted up at 29 under par, hanging tough right there with them. That's not a New Kids on the Block reference, but Chris Sprague is at 28 under par, Chris Smith sitting at 26, and Ken Climo is trying to find himself into a final 9 spot. He's sitting at 24 under par. He's going to need to catch Chris Smith, who's 2 strokes in front of him. Not seeing Ken Climo in a final 9 would be something I've rarely seen in my 25 plus years of both playing and spectating disc golf.
That would definitely be a surprise. A bunch of people had Kenny picked not to win this week, but definitely to make the finals. And I would be surprised to not see him make those as well. I just want to make a brief note about these holes 10, 11, and 12. As far as disc golf goes, these are 3 of the more picturesque holes in disc golf that are back to back to back. With this pond in play and how beautifully green it is in Emporia, this is a sight to see. In terms of disc golf, it makes me think of looking at ball golf courses and how manicured and beautiful they look. When I think of disc golf and beautiful holes, I mean, these are 3 of the holes that I think of. 3 birdieable, but definitely challenging holes.
And Nikko Locastro pacing off to see if he is in fact in or outside of that 10-meter circle. And now he's going to square up for his putt. And bang, bang, as Robert has said, Katrina Allen and Val Jenkins have both bogeyed hole number 11 over at the Peter Pan course. However, Paige Pierce has 3'd it. Katrina and Paige are tied at 8 under par. As expected by Wysocki, he is in for the 2. This is looking to be a star frame here on hole number 12.
I'm just glad you did a nice Ricky on this putt like you did on the last one.
Colglazier is in, and I look at Paige Pierce's scores on PDGALive.com. She had earlier in the round bogeyed 5 out of 6 holes. Certainly a rough stretch for her. Looks like she's back on pace with a number of pars. So that is a star frame here on hole number 12. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors. You're watching the 2016 PDGA World Championships, presented by Dynamic Discs.
Hole 13 brings a bit of elevation change to challenge a long open drive to the trees at the end of the fairway. More clear than in years past, the wall of trees guards the approach to the basket on the other side. A few feet to the left or right can make a clean shot nearly impossible with the wall. Players must also pay attention to more trees on the other side and a slight elevation rise, as well as an OB road bordering the green.
Hey, it's Sarah, and you're watching live disc golf on SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, I'm Drew Gibson. We're here at the 2016 Memorial Championship. I forgot what I was going to talk about.
You pretty much nailed that. Yeah.
No. Okay.
No, don't.
Why?
Go.
I'm Drew Gibson. I'm excited for the 2016 season. We're at the first stop of the national tour, and I'm trying to read it, but because I have my glasses on, so you can't see I'm reading. I'm pretty good at this. All right, I'm gonna nail this one. And then
go.
Well, tonight we are continuing our welcome wagon for the World Professional Disc Golf Championships in Emporia. We have community members downtown chalking sidewalks, kind of all over, focusing on the 800 and 900 blocks. This morning we had 2 daycare centers come down and make their mark on sidewalks and welcome the disc golfers in their own special way. Supports disc golf through and through, and it's one activity that Emporia is known for, and it's kind of that one of those unique activities that we're known for. And our community likes to go out and they like to watch the event. They like to come down for the block party. So this is just another element to get them involved and kind of roll out the red carpet for those visitors that are coming to our community.
And I think Paul McBeth was faking me out, saying that he was going for a smash of a drive here, and he was just laying up.
Joke's on you.
Oh, that silly Paul McBeth. Put your guns away. And Colglazier goes with a manly shot here. He puts a big pump out. He's looking for it to get left. Certainly we can talk about Paul McBeth laying up to the zone that he did. I think he's going to be going up and over on his second shot. Here's Ricky Wysocki. And that is exactly what Paul was hoping to eliminate, was finding the left side of the fairway OB, and Ricky's done just that. Advantage McBeth here on 13's tee. And Nikko also hangs this out wide. I think he's going with the Paul McBeth approach, so to speak, which is to lay up shorter here off the tee so that he can put a huge crush on his second shot. If you throw too far down the fairway, you are pinched up against the trees and you have to throw essentially straight up in the air. So we've seen Nikko and McBeth throw short into the fairway so that they can have a better angle to attack this basket. And I was jokingly giving Paul a hard time because just before we got back from break, he said, "Terry, you ready to catch this mash or this, crush of a drive?" And I said, "I'm ready." And then he gets up there and gives it the little fluff shot that he did and then walked back chuckling to me, knowing he faked us out. So, well, maybe he's just lost his touch. I don't know.
Yeah, I would hope that he wasn't thinking that was a crush, and he just got us with the classic psych out. I know I appreciate that. He has actually finished on the left half of the fairway, and so depending on how far back he is, the big hyzer over the top may not actually be the shot where he's standing. It kind of depends on where it came to rest. He may have a look at the gap or may just have both options because he can throw very, very far. I'm a little surprised to see Ricky throw out of bounds again. We saw him do this in round 2, almost a carbon copy of the shot that we saw just now. He did get up and down from the four from there from a knee, but he has made this hole a much more difficult par than it would normally be for somebody like Ricky.
And Wysocki is, correction, sorry, it looks like Nikko Locastro, I should say, is eyeing up the shot up and over. He does have some trees in front of him to contend with, which is why off the tee he was saying, "Get left, get left." And now he's going to have to contend with these trees directly in front of him first.
Yeah, those trees are going to turn what would normally just throw it as hard as you can, as high as you can, into now I really have to hit a line in order to get over these trees and put myself in a good spot. Pay no mind. He's just going to throw a great hyzer. It looks like he's going to come up a little left and short of the basket, but he pured that shot. It looked great out of his hand.
And as Paul checks out his live, we can tell you that Katrina Allen has again pulled out in the lead over Paige Pierce by 1, and Paige is up 1 on Valerie Jenkins. And I believe that's a champion monster as he goes up and over. He wanted that to sweep from right to left. The gallery applauds his shot. And we've talked about it a few times here, that Ricky Wysocki's unforced error of throwing OB. Now, it looks like he may have an angle at the basket from here. He can certainly get up and down if he throws a great shot here to still save the par.
Yeah, when Ricky's got a BT hard harp in his hand, I mean, you can pretty much write it down. He's going to throw a good shot. It looks like that's exactly what he's just done.
Cameron Colglazier is assessing his options. The left lane to go through the gap is just not at the right angle that he's looking for. Maybe it's an obtruse angle or an acute angle. I'm not sure what it is, but it's not the right angle that he wants. But going up and over is going to be a challenge too, because he's so close to these tall trees. We know he's got plenty of power, and it looks like the shot that he's going to opt for. Correction, he's not. And after some self-deliberation, I think he throws one of the best shots that he really can there. A gentle forehand, putting himself inside the circle. Now he's just got to make the putt. Robert, let's head across this bridge and hope none of the competitors or us fall to the bottom. Each day I wake up with a goal in mind. One of them is to not fall across that bridge, especially on camera. We'll go ahead and count it.
Yeah, make sure and set that bar real high for yourself, man. I like that.
Nikko Locastro finds himself just inside 40 feet, I would say. Looks like he's going to go with what we deem the classic straddle. And Nikko's attempt is just a bit strong as he hits off the top band of the basket here on hole number 13. And with what can only be a lapse in concentration, Colglazier does not draw metal from inside 30 feet. Cameron, of course, fighting for every stroke as he wants to remain in that top four, be featured in the final four here later this afternoon. And Paul McBeth picks up another stroke here on Ricky Wysocki. He's going to have to turn it on during the later third of this round if he's got any chance to hunt down Ricky. Dave Felberg earlier expressed that if you have a 9-stroke lead going to the finals, he thinks it would be all but over. Wysocki is going to take the penalty 4, but again relinquishing a single stroke to Paul McBeth. Nikko Locastro does not make up any ground here. Cameron is in, and Nikko, after hitting the band, had a little bit of a rollback, at least 10 to 12 feet. And we'll be back with some scores in a little while as we move to 14. Stay tuned. You're watching the semifinals right here at the 2016 PDGA Professional World Championships presented by Dynamic Discs.
Hole 14 appears relatively simple off the tee, but looks can be deceiving. Slightly uphill the entire way, players must dodge a couple of trees early to get an open look at the basket. When the hole opens up, players have a more obvious path to the basket and more uphill. Overly aggressive shots can end up in the water just behind the basket, and some hard surface around the green can make a good shot become an unlucky one.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job. Go in. Oh.
For me, it's all about the exercise.
For me, it fits into my busy lifestyle.
For me, it's my passion.
For us, it doesn't cost much to play.
For me, it's fun.
Well, tonight we are continuing our welcome wagon for the World Professional Disc Golf Championships in Emporia. We have community members downtown chalking sidewalks, kind of all over, focusing on the 800 and 900 blocks. This morning we had 2 daycare centers come down and make their mark on sidewalks and welcome the disc golfers in their own special way. Supports disc golf through and through, and it's one activity that Emporia is known for, and it's kind of that one of those unique activities that we're known for. And our community likes to go out and they like to watch the event. They like to come down for the block party. So this is just another element to get them involved and kind of roll out the red carpet for those visitors that are coming to our community.
And welcome back, everyone. We are watching what is the 3rd card, I believe, putting out on hole number 15. That's Justin Lamers, the young gun from Wisconsin, Lamira, Wisconsin, recently picked up by Team Discraft as he is just tapped out.
Is that all of them?
And Paul McBeth is ready to go. He's on the tee. We're back to the action here on hole 14. And Paul's going to verify that everyone's walked off over to the tee of 15. great shot here by Paul McBeth, looking at inside 15 feet.
Looked like he barely threw that from over here. Must be nice.
Another one of his crushes.
Yeah.
Colglazier looking to repeat that, however, I'm not sure he had enough distance.
Ricky's got his purple enforcer in his hand. He's been throwing this disc on hyzers like this in straight shots for pretty much every one of them all week. He's hung it tight. He's looking to see if that comes in safe, and he gets applause, gives him the nice wave, which we think that he does during practice rounds. Looks like Ricky's going to be inside the circle.
And after the Nikko shuffle here on hole number 14's tee, he's thrown a great drive attacking the pin. And it looks like he may have gone long. Again, there's been a number of times throughout the weekend, Robert, where you and I are typically behind the tee, and our viewers have the luxury with our second camera that Joe is working. Joe is catching the shots as they come in, and it's been noted that there's once in a while we can speculate, but we don't necessarily see where these discs are landing. So sometimes our viewers know so much more than us, but that's really nothing we didn't already know.
Yeah, that would not be the first time that I've been wrong, nor will it be the last. We're mostly just judging. We're mostly just judging by flights out of their hands and by the estimated power that we think they put on it. And then we can also use applause as a gauge, but sometimes that can be misleading because these people have the same vantage point that we do.
And as we push down the fairway here on 14, we see Nate Doss directing traffic. He's letting everyone know that on hole 15, which parallels 14, the gallery needs to make sure they're out of the way. And I'm watching Eagle McMahon, who's bogey free here, take the huge hyzer on hole number 15. He's going to be short. And Colglazier sitting at 41 under par. He's, whether he knows it or not, he's really just trying to hold off the Eagle McMahon, who's 9 down and bogey free thus far. Colglazier does have 4 shots on him going into holes 15 through 18. I don't see, unless there was really a meltdown by Colglazier, even if McMahon gets hot, I'm not guessing that McMahon will be able to catch him, but very much a solid performance here by Eagle McMahon. And our 2001 world champion Cam Todd also sitting at 37 under par. Very solid performance out here. Nate Doss sitting at 36, and Bradley Williams just off their pace at 32, along with Devin Owens and Nate Sexton. Clarification as to Nikko's lie. And we must make mention of the relatively smooth flow of play that we've been blessed with here today. We talked about them holding up on hole number 5, allowing the tee of 6, which I think helps stretch things out a little bit. This is McBeth for birdie. Count it.
It was kind of high left side chains, but he had the right speed on it, and if you get the angle a little bit wrong, you can be right on the speed and make a lot of putts.
Count it. And high and right with plenty of force. Ricky with a patented fan wave.
These guys are making this hole just look really, really easy. It is a long uphill hyzer, even a kind of a flat to hyzer shot, and it's just an absolute crunch to get up there, and they've made it look incredibly easy.
In fact, Locastro going deep and past the basket, finding the OB water. This is for him to save his par 3. And we can count that as well as we hear his biggest fan in Jessica Weiss, who has been sidelined this week due to injury. She's been out here for every round cheering him on. We're through 14 holes during the semifinals round at the 2016 PDGA Worlds presented by Dynamic Disc. We'll be back to you after a few messages and words from our sponsors on hole 15.
Hello, it's me, your pal, JC. I've heard your prayers for an improvement in your disc golf game. Well, JC here is going to go ahead and throw you a pretty big bone. I present the Traveler. It's an overstable driver by Full Turn Discs. Isn't it heavenly? It's the newest disc on the market. And you can take it from the highest authority that this is the disc. You're welcome. Jesus.
Early trees and a nearby OB road make this short hole a troublesome 2 for most players. Hole 15 plays downhill and requires players to nail a somewhat difficult line to get a disc into the circle. A large tree guards the basket and can prevent nearby players from having a solid putt.
And welcome back to hole 15 with Paul McBeth on the tee. Shortly after these competitors throw their tee shots, we'll give you our update in the Masters division. Beth opts for the wide hyzer to the right, and I'm not sure just how bad that was. I mean, it hit the tree. Do you feel like that really impacted the outcome of the shot?
I do. If it would have had to take a really unfortunate skip to get out of bounds, and if it gets past that tree, I mean, he's probably inside the circle. As he sits now, he's probably at about 40 feet. Ricky's gone with that same BT hard harp that he threw yesterday. Oh, and it's turning. That is not the place you want to be in the fairway. Wow. Depending on the lie that Ricky has, he may have a really difficult up and down to save a 3 from there. And this is a hole that, we think hole 2 is probably the easiest 2 on the course. This might be the second or third easiest hole.
And Colglazier is finding that same bush on the right side, and even worse than Ricky Wysocki, he's going to be in a world of hurt on the backside of that bush, just trying to get out from there and have even any kind of look at saving his par is going to be incredibly difficult. And there's a slight right to left wind as Nikko has launched his up into the air. I think he's got a little more height on it than he was anticipating. And we're going to move down the fairway of 15, and we're going to check in with the Masters scores. And Robert, you said it earlier, something's going wrong in this world. Ken Climo has missed the finals, and you missed the cut. I don't know what the disc golf world is upside down right now.
Yeah, what's up is down, what's down is up. It's like, I mean, we're on the same caliber, so it's really surprising to see. That's not true. But Ken Climo has in fact missed out on the final 9. He's going to finish in 5th place in the Masters field. So here are 4 names, none of which have won a world title or a Masters world title, who are going to be vying for it in the final 9. Knotted at the top, we've got Shasta Chris and Johnny McRae. They're both at 31 under par after their semifinal round. And tied for 3rd place are Chris Sprague and Chris Smith. They're tied at 28 under par, 3 shots back of the leaders. Out at the Country Club, that final 9 can really be anybody's game. There are strokes to be gained, and as we saw yesterday, even in calm conditions, strokes to be lost. And so that's going to be a hotly contested final 9.
And we'll see Cameron Colglazier with his best attempt to get out of jail here, found on hole number 15. Wysocki was sucked into the tree as well. Wysocki sitting at 55 under par. Locastro is now at 45, 10 strokes back. Paul McBeth is at 47 under par, 8 behind Wysocki. And Colglazier sitting comfortably right now in that 4th spot at 41 under par. We mentioned it before, unless something drastic were to happen, I think we're going to see these same four competitors in our final 9. Eagle McMahon, even if he were to birdie out, we need Cam to go par for the remainder. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be our same final 4.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's a possibility that Cam doesn't get up and down for par right here. That's just how bad that tree in the middle of the fairway is. Being out on the right side of it, I was going to say that the best that he could really hope for was kind of a stretch out forehand that he throws on Anheuser around the tree, or just try to punch through. He's gone with the punch through, and it's left him about 50 feet, which is definitely not where you want to be to save 3 on a hole like this. Ricky didn't penetrate through quite as much as it looks like from the tee, so he's got a patent pending, which is a backward type stance from inside the tree. He just pitches his BT hard harp up under the basket. He's going to save a 3 after an errant tee shot.
And just really not giving it a chance. I can't say that was that was definitely not an intended layup by Nikko Locastro. So not getting it up high enough, never really giving it a chance. He's underneath the pin. However, he's going to be settling for a par. Cameron Colglazier is working his hardest here just to save his par on hole number 15.
Cam's par attempt comes up just low. He's going to have to settle for bogey here. I do understand Nico's frustration on this hole. You could give him a stack of about 50 discs and he could throw that hyzer again. I think he'd land inside of it with all 50 of them. Here's Paul McBeth for a birdie. He's waiting for a distraction to clear, maybe a bit of wind.
And McBeth does not pull within 7, expressing frustration with the high knee slap there with his driver. And very uncharacteristic Pete May seemed to have been the distraction behind there. I hate to call him out like that, but really surprised that Pete May was not aware of his whereabouts there. He was the initial distraction there for Paul McBeth. He then stood down, squatted down, in fact, to eliminate the distraction, but Paul McBeth does not capitalize. He has the opportunity to pull within 7, and he gets one, slips by him as he tosses in somewhat angrily with his putt or with his driver. And Nikko, a sarcastic round of applause for himself as he taps in with frustration. We have a walk over to hole 16's tee. Stay tuned. You're watching live disc golf right here on SmashBoxx TV.
Ask every top-level player if putting practice is important, and you will get a unanimous yes. Introducing the Recruit Basket by Dynamic Discs. This basket is tournament quality at a practice price. It can be put together or taken down in about 2 minutes and comes with all the necessary hardware and tools. The Recruit Basket has 13 inner and 13 outer strands of zinc-coated chains. The rest of the basket is electrophoresced first, and then powder-coated for protection from the natural elements. Weighing in at just over 50 pounds, it's very sturdy, but with the built-in wheel on the base, it's very easy to move. The Recruit Basket is easy to carry in a car's trunk because the pole is made of 2 parts. It also comes with an in-ground sleeve for a more permanent and secure installation. Get ready for tournaments. Get better. Get the Recruit.
And welcome back to the action we've picked up with our second card here on hole 16. And again, we've caught up with our second card, watching Eagle McMahon tee last. That was with a gator. First, we had stepping up and throwing. Initially, I believe when we got back, we first saw Nate Doss. Then we saw Cam Todd throwing a rock. And then last to tee was Eagle McMahon throwing a gator. And we're going to move down the fairway to see what we can watch here on hole 16. We got to send a huge shout out to Courtney McCoy, who rang this up in 1 yesterday, carding the ace. Oh, correction. Initially it was reported as hole 16. Let me clarify. It was actually hole 15, in which Courtney McCoy had carded the ace yesterday. Congratulations to her.
It's very strange to see an ace on a hole like that on hole 15, a very, very aceable hole, and then none of our lead card competitors get a birdie at all. That was a really unfortunate hole 15 that we just saw. I know that they're going to be looking to capitalize on 16 and 17, both available holes for a birdie too. You've got to put a good tee shot out there, but you have lots of variety available to you. As we just saw from our second card, we saw a forehand with a Firebird. We saw what looked to me like an 8-time rock from Cam Todd. And then a mid-range, like a slower mid-range, an older Pearly Champion Gator from Eagle McMahon, which to have the kind of power you need to reach a hole like this with a Champion Gator is just absolutely beyond me. And then it also looks like he took his wasp straight at the basket. So holes 16 and 17 present a variety of shots, lots of which can net you a birdie, and these are 2 very needed birdies to feel like you can close your round out well here at Jones East.
You've heard us talk extensively of the weather out here as we watch Eagle McMahon cash in on the birdie from off on the left side of the fairway. We've talked extensively of the weather this week. It was incredibly hot and muggy and humid. Heat indices, I think is technically how it's pronounced, looking at over 108 to 110 degrees in the last few days. So it's been very hot for these competitors as well as for our crew, and most importantly for the volunteers and the staff who have worked so tirelessly out here this weekend. We'd like to thank everyone from Dynamic Disc as well as the PDGA, helping as our presenting sponsor of the broadcast, but also with so many of the PDGA staff here on board. We saw Rebecca Duffy out here, our board president, Brian Graham, our executive director, Michael Downs, along with our new media intern, Jen. We've seen Vic and just a whole slew of people. Marty Gregoire, who I know was under the weather there for a portion of the week. So hoping that everyone is ready to go as we are just a few holes away from moving over to the final 9, which will be featured at the Country Club. And surprisingly, we saw a par frame on the previous hole. In fact, actually, that was 3 pars and a bogey. So for being one of the easier holes on the course, pretty surprising to see them play it in +1, as in 1 over par as a group. Here's Paul McBeth on the tee of 16. And that seems to be tracking nicely to the basket. The question is if it has the distance, and Paul's indicated he thinks that's going to be short and right.
I think that's probably about 25 or 20 feet. Once it's down that hill, it should kind of fall down to the basket a little bit easier.
And what a unique approach here by Wysocki, who's holding his ankle. He is wincing in pain there. Something has just happened. We'll be back with that in a moment. And Nikko's is fading hard left. He's asking for it to sit. He gives it a shrug of, and then a little bit of a huff as he walks off. He's not happy unless he's parked. He has high expectations. Here's Colglazier.
Cam's taking that same long bowman that he threw on hole 10, expecting it to turn up just a little bit, and it actually doesn't as much as he wants to. That stays over to the left. He's going to have, looks like what will probably be an outside the circle putt for his birdie too. I think it was really interesting to see Ricky take the line that he did on this hole. He threw a gold line triple X, kind of in the Nikko fashion that we've seen, which is taking something very overstable, turning it over out of your hand, and just trying to take the wind out of it, really. And as soon as he did, he winced in pain and grabbed his ankle. That ankle has a brace on it right now. From what I understand, he had injured it playing basketball earlier this week with Paul Ulibarri, and so. Really, really tough to see something like that. We hope the best for our competitors. We don't want to see something like an injury alter the outcome of something like a world championship. So I want to see what Ricky looks and feels like after the next couple of holes.
It was a unpleasant sight to see the pain in which Ricky Wysocki turned around off of the tee. The face that he had made, he indicated that he was in a lot of pain. He is, as we said, wearing a brace on his right ankle, and we haven't noticed anything of the sorts for the last few days in competition. However, after that throw, he was definitely in some pain. This is Colglazier for birdie. And Colglazier, just like myself, I thought that was in. It looked like it had the right height as he was putting downhill. He just needed to get it over the top portion of the basket, and instead it comes up just a few inches short. And classic McBeth making good here. He knew he let one slip by him on hole number 15. Ricky is in position to also birdie 16, so he's trying to not let Ricky pull ahead anymore, as they're going to be moving into the final 9 after just a few more holes out here at Jones East. And Nikko is just off his mark. We've seen such tremendous putting and play from him for the last 2 days. And now today it just seems as if he is just barely off his mark.
Yeah, that putt, I think, fell prey to a couple of things. One is that he didn't follow through quite as strong as he usually does. And two, with the Nikko Classic straddle, he's holding his putter on a hyzer, and the wind is a left to right wind. So when you don't expose the bottom of the disc to the wind like that, it's just going to slam. And you could see right out of his hand that was too low.
And what is mildly ironic is ever since we deemed his various puttings, I think that was in fact all me, just to take full blame for that.
Yeah.
Nikko has pretty much exclusively gone with what I call his classic straddle. During the first few holes of a previous round this week, he was an off-centered straddle, and the more I talked about it, the more he eventually just came back. And Wysocki is in and out with an obstructed view of the basket. And Paul McBeth is going to walk away gaining a stroke here on 15, as well as on the rest of the card, in fact. I will put Paul McBeth on the tee with holes 17 and 18 to play. This is not over with a limping Wysocki here on hole number 16. Stay tuned. You're watching live disc golf of the 2016 PDGA World Championships right here on SmashBoxxTV.
Flashlight LED disc golf discs just changed the game. The unique Disco Select feature allows everyone to choose their own color by simply pressing the middle button, then pressing it again during the first rotation of colors when the one you want appears. Or you can leave it in disco mode, rotating through the 6 different colors for the duration of your game. Designed by serious professionals, crafted from Night Eye's unrivaled sure grip material, and featuring Night Eye's patented fiber optics array, these discs strike the perfect balance of durability, stability, performance, and just plain awesomeness. With easily replaceable batteries and an uber-long life, the Flashlight driver, mid-range, and putter will shine as they blaze your path to victory, day or night. Night Eyes. Discover your solution.
And McBeth, with his most overstable destroyer, pushes to the right side. He gets a clap by the gallery. I feel like that's a little bit generous.
Yeah, he's probably at circle's edge, maybe even in the side of the shrubs right there. Not surprised to see Ricky go with the forehand here, as it'll be less intense on his ankle. Oh, and he absolutely grounds it. Oh dear, makes you think his ankle is probably bothering him a little bit. Probably got in his head, and he didn't really want to plan on it very hard.
And Nikko, before throwing, said he's having a nightmare of a round. He said that to his caddy and then said, I'm just going to throw this as hard as I can at the basket. What's the worst that can happen? And he said, well, it could go in. And I've been known before to open my big mouth too early. I said Cam Colglazier will likely find himself on this lead card, and he is looking at best at a par right now. We see Eagle McMahon is within a stroke of him, as well as Cam Todd after seeing birdies on 16. Cam Colglazier may need to at least card a birdie, depending on what Eagle and Cam Todd are doing on hole 18. We're waiting on the 17th hole to be scored on PDGALive.com, but Cam Colglazier is now getting challenged tremendously here. He may or may not even realize it. I'm not sure he'd be doing anything differently. He's obviously trying to get the birdies where they're presented to him, but he is in serious threat of losing this top 4 spot right now.
There are only a few people in double digits under par right now. Paul McBeth is one of them at 11 under par through 16 holes. Eagle McMahon is 11 under through 16. And then Eric McCabe and Matt Oram are at 11 and 10 respectively.
And from a standstill, we see Ricky Wysocki throw a very routine forehand. He's going to be walking away with a par here. The question is, can Paul McBeth pull within 6 strokes if he takes the birdie? And Colglazier nestles up to the basket.
Regardless of what happens, I'm very interested to see Paul's attack on 18. He's been going for the green on the par 4 18th each round, and if he makes this putt, that'll put him to 6 shots back of Ricky. I assume, with Ricky's ankle being the way that it is and his staying consistent with his game plan, that he will try for the birdie 3 instead of going for the eagle 2. I'm very, very interested to see if Paul plays for the eagle 2, a very aggressive play on the over 500-foot par 4 closing hole.
And McBeth, just before watching the rest of his card mates, he saw that I was looking at the PDGA leaderboard, the physical leaderboard here, and I was checking out the scores, noting that he was 7 behind. He motioned to me, he put up 7 fingers as if he wanted to confirm that he was in fact 7 behind, and I nodded in fact that he is. So Paul is very aware of the scores, and if there's going to be a McBeast mode, it's going to need to start right here. And for the largest eruption of the gallery this round. Paul McBeth pulls himself within 6 strokes, moving into the 18th hole of the semifinals. We've got just 10 holes to play for the World Championships. And as if I was in Nikko's head, he moves back to the staggered straddle putt. However, not effective here on hole 17. He's very frustrated with himself, knowing he let one slip by there.
You could tell, at least from what I can tell, that looked like a direct response to missing the putt on the last hole. He changed up his putting style. The straddle's been working for him all day until that very last hole. So surprised to see him change up the straddle, but I kind of expected that putt to miss after him missing it.
All right, we're going to move over to hole 18. The gallery is on the move, and so are we, bringing you the final hole here at the semifinals of the 2016 PDGA Professional World Championships.
Hole 18 gives the players one final choice off the tee: be aggressive down the right-hand side, or lay up and play for accuracy in the landing zone and then onto the thin green. While the landing zone opens up to the left closer to the parking lot, players must deal with an OB line separating hole 1 on the left-hand side and the parking lot beyond. While the trees down the right are not OB, they will often require an extra stroke to play out of. The green is on a thin stretch of land that requires accuracy to land on, but plays relatively simple within 100 feet of the basket.
And Robert, a few moments ago we were talking about Eagle McMahon and possibly Cam Todd making a charge here for the Final Four. However, when we walk up to the 18th fairway, we see Eagle McMahon coming all the way back to within 100 feet of the pin. He must have gone out and around trying to go for the eagle here on the 18th hole, and he went OB and never found himself back inbounds. So, as I said, he's probably just a little over 100 feet from the tee, putting him more than 400 feet from the pin.
Now, that may be the case. If I had walked up, I would have thought that he just tried to throw a forehand layup shot that just didn't quite get back in bounds. I'm not sure what that case is going to be, but he has just mashed crushed a forehand from, like you said, about 100, 120 feet off the tee to great applause from the crowd up there. Looks like he's going to save his par 4 after what looks like an extremely errant tee shot. I did get a chance to catch up with Ricky Wysocki just a second ago, so I wanted to give you an update on his ankle. On hole 16, we saw him turn over his triple X and then immediately went in pain and grab at his ankle, which he had injured previously this week. And so I asked him how it was feeling. He said it's fine, just twisted a little bit, I'll be good. So it sounds like it's going to be more of a scare, really, than an injury that's going to require him to either drop out or alter his game plan for the final 9.
Well, and one's got to wonder if Ricky Wysocki is just trying to maintain a positive attitude. He may, in fact, be in a lot of pain.
Maybe so.
Not to say that he was lying to you by any means, but maybe that's just part of his overall mindset of, I'm going to say that I'm fine, I'm going to believe that I'm fine. But we know that Ricky Wysocki had injured it playing basketball earlier in the week. In fact, Paul Ulibarri has debated throughout this entire week about withdrawing from the World Championships because he had jammed his finger. He talked with us on Tuesday during our SmashBoxxTV nightly recap, and ultimately he's stuck with the tournament throughout this entire weekend thus far, unless there was something that I didn't know upon waking up this morning.
I know that he was debating dropping out overnight because of the pain that he had.
So even as recently as this morning, he was still debating. Multiple times we heard him say he was day by day. And so Yuli was talking about possibly withdrawing, but hopefully he's been out here competing here today. Nonetheless, there are multiple storylines unfolding. Let's check in with the women's lead. I believe it is, in fact, that Kat has a one-stroke lead, and Paige is then 1 or 2 strokes. Let's just go ahead and give you the official update. Katrina Allen at 11 under par overall. She's turned her round into a 5 down today. Paige Pierce is at 10 under par, so 1 stroke off the pace. Again, a 7-stroke swing between her and Kat today. And Valerie Jenkins sits at 9 under par, shooting a 1 down. So we have 11, 10, and 9 respectively. They're at Peter Pan. And Katrina Allen, talk about a solid finish. In the last 6 holes, she's gone 3 under. In fact, if you go back 3 more holes, so in the last 9 holes, I believe she's gone 4 under par. So turning it on at the end, looks like all 3 of the women had birdied hole number 17, and they're going to move into 18. So we're going to see a battle continue in the finals regardless. Hole 18, anything can happen out at Peter Pan. There could be anything from a 2 to a 5 on that hole. So we'll have to check back in as we complete our round here at the semifinals. And in the Masters, we see Shasta, Chris, and Johnny McRae were battling back and forth, and the same remains. We said we will have Shasta and Johnny tied going into the finals, and Chris Sprague and Chris Smith both at 28, also making the finals. So congratulations to those 4 competitors, as we will see them in the final 9.
Damn, I wish I could be there.
And the second card is now just putting out, and it is go time. Do or die. This could be a huge momentum shift. If Paul McBeth can find himself possibly with an eagle or at least with a birdie, we know that Ricky Wysocki is going to play this hole for no more than a birdie. So in an ideal world, he'll walk away with a birdie. McBeth has previously gone for this for the eagle. We saw him come up just a bit short during the second round of the tournament. And in the opener, I believe he also had a penalty par on this hole to finish. So he went for it, however, was still able to take the par there as well. So we'll see if he changes up his game plan from Tuesday or Wednesday. But with the way McBeth is throwing, he's got a very overstable Star Destroyer. And we're ready to go. And with all of his might, Paul McBeth has crushed this. It's a matter of if it comes down in bounds. And with a stone-cold face, Paul McBeth looks at Ricky Wysocki. In fact, I just got goosebumps as these two are preparing for battle in the final 9. Wysocki, as assumed, has a forehand in mind, and he's doing just that. He's laying up. He's going to be playing for this for a 3. He's hoping, as that carries right, he's a little bit closer to the bushes than he was hoping for, but Paul McBeth is looking to pick up at least a stroke here on Ricky Wysocki if he can capitalize on this eagle.
And I think the real winner of those last 2 tee shots is our spotter down the fairway with the green flag, who is very excited about tee shots landing in bounds. Joe, let's see if we can get a shot of that green flag here in a minute, because I think we'll all be excited to see how committed he is to his job. You got to love seeing job performance like that.
We'll give it an A for effort. What we also just looked at the scores is Cameron Colglazier is in fact now tied with Cam Todd. So if Cameron can get up and down, he can find himself in the final 4. He's going to need at least a birdie to do so. Oh, and Cam Todd, I'm incorrect. I was thinking that. Here's Nikko throwing his roller. Oh, and it hits near the parking lot, and he gets the red flag.
Less enthusiasm for that flag this time.
Understandably so. I'm sorry, I was thinking that Cam Todd was completed through his round, but in fact he has one hole to play. So it's going to be a battle of the cams here. Let's see if Colglazier can put this in bounds. Colglazier has done so, and this huge gallery is going to move down hole 18. We've got to feel a little bit bad for the second card, who needs to finish out their round on hole 1. A lot of this gallery is actually walking down their fairway. Unfortunately, that's just a nuance of being on the second card, is sometimes you get caught up amongst the spectators in the gallery.
That's right. And now Cam Todd and Cameron Colglazier are tied right now. Eagle's only one throw back of them, and hole 1 actually sets up really well for Eagle, who has a very powerful forehand. So if somehow Cam Colglazier doesn't get up and down for his birdie, he just takes a par on this. If Cam Todd takes a par on hole 1 and Eagle birdies hole 1, we're going to have a 3-way tie for the 4th spot into the final 9. So really, Cameron Colglazier's fate is in his own hands. He can guarantee a tie if he gets a birdie 3 on this hole.
Yeah, at worst a tie. And here's his approach shot. And Colglazier may secure himself in a final 9 with that beautiful forehand just a few feet from the pin. As you said, the fate was in his hands.
Yeah.
At worst case scenario right now, he'd be looking for a tie. I just saw Cam Todd tee on hole 1. He hit a tree, and Cameron Todd will not be birdieing hole 1 unless he has a throw in from more than 200 feet. And that enthusiastic green flag comes in, as it should. Ricky Wysocki is going to be happy with that. Again, sticking to his game plan. You cannot be disappointed walking away from hole 18 with a birdie. However, Paul McBeth still may gain a stroke if he can put in for his eagle. This is Nikko Locastro, who's secured himself a spot in the final 9. However, he's falling off the pace.
Go in.
Locastro is next to the pin. He'll be putting in for his par 4. And McBeth, after an extra deep breath before that putt, comes up short, and Ricky Wysocki still is left with 30 feet. This is for the birdie. And high right chain. Wysocki is still going to give away a stroke to Paul McBeth because he has carded the par. And this is Cam Colglazier. And I believe that secures Cameron Colglazier. He will be a finalist here at the 2016 Disc Golf World Championships, as will Nikko Locastro. Ricky Wysocki taps in for what will be the par, and McBeth is also in for par.
Yeah, Ricky. You got it. Come on, bring it home, baby. Thanks,
Ricky Wysocki walking off. We're going to let the players count up their scorecards. They're going to take a few moments for that, but Robert, My heart's racing a little bit.
A little bit.
We continue to talk about the battles. We saw Nikko starting out hot, getting the first 3 holes, and then he just kind of slipped off the pace. A little bit of frustration and just wasn't hanging with them. He's going to secure himself a spot in that final 9 along with Cameron Colglazier, so congratulations to both of them. But with what we saw in the final few holes here, Paul McBeth is now within 5 strokes of Ricky Wysocki. Back on hole 12, he was 9 off the pace.
Yeah.
He's picked up that many strokes. What are you thinking right now?
Paul put on quite a tear through the back portion of this course, and he played it well, but then Ricky also played it just not quite as well as he wanted to. He wasn't making a ton of mistakes. He wasn't taking bogeys. But it's like I said, out here sometimes with these top guys, if you're not getting a birdie, you're losing strokes. And that did happen to Ricky over these last few holes. You've got to wonder how much his ankle is bothering him right now. We really want to see how much is bothering him when we get out to Country Club, where you're throwing full power shots on nearly every shot, sometimes a couple or 3 times a hole. So I'm really, really interested to see how much that's bothering him, and if Paul is just going to, put the team on his back and charge to victory, or if Ricky can hold him off. I am thrilled to be out at the final 9 this afternoon.
Well, it's going to be very exciting for sure. In just a few moments, we're going to catch up with at least one of our final 4 competitors. We're going to stand down right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to be back with an interview in a few moments. You're watching live disc golf right here of the 2016 PDGA World Championships presented by Dynamic Disc. We'll be back in a few moments.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job. Go in. Oh.
For me, it's all about the exercise.
For me, it fits into my busy lifestyle.
For me, it's my passion.
For us, it doesn't cost much to play.
For me, it's fun.
Smashbox would like to thank the following sponsors: Shop Tom, Sally West, Synergy Disc Golf, Chris Cobb, Paragon Disc Golf, Night Eyes, the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Discraft Discs, Dynamic Discs, and the PDGA. Please reach out to these sponsors and thank them for their tireless support of disc golf.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am now joined here by Paul McBeth. And Paul, you're leaving the semifinals down 5 strokes. Tell us what happened in those last few holes out here.
The last few holes, I got a little birdie string. I think I missed one in there, but yeah, made up a few strokes, got within 5. You know, it's still a lot of work to do, so you know, that's where it's at right now.
On hole 16, what we noticed, at least on the media side, was that Ricky Wysocki winced in pain after he threw his tee shot. Did you see that?
Yeah, after his tee shot, it looked like he kind of pulled it over, but it looked like he was right behind the basket on his tee shot. So I don't know what he really did, but I noticed the second round on hole 17, he kind of started limping a little bit. But other than those 2 moments, I think he's been, fighting through it.
It seems like he's been fine throughout this entire tournament, injuring himself before the tournament even got started. 5 strokes. You've been down more strokes before, but it's been a tall task. Is there enough time to come back and catch him?
Yeah, there's still 9 holes. I don't know which 9. I haven't looked it up, but I'm assuming it's going to be an exciting 9 holes, and they're probably going to choose their most challenging ones for sure. So I have to be aggressive. I mean, worst place I can take is 4th now, and I don't know how much I got on 3rd, which is Nikko, but I guess about 5 or something like that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be aggressive and shooting for those 5 strokes.
I believe they're in fact playing hole 1, 2, then moving over to holes 11 through 16. You're going to skip 17, and then you're going to finish up on 18.
Okay.
Are those in your wheelhouse?
They're going to have to be.
All right. Paul McBeth, anything you'd like to say to everyone out there?
Just hopefully it gets more exciting than it is right now. So.
All right, he's looking for the drama. He likes to provide it for us here on Smashbox. He said that in the past, and he's looking to provide that today. The women are going to be teeing off at 12:30, so we're going to be back and live with them at the Country Club. They're going to be playing the same final 9 holes. We have Katrina Allen and Paige Pierce all tied up at 10 under par, and Valerie Jenkins just 1 stroke off the pace. So that's going to be filled with drama for sure as we move into that round. So I've got to thank everyone as part of our staff and crew, including Gary to the O, along with Joe Height, Johnny V back on the controls, my co-commentator Robert McCall, Paul McBeth, the leader card, and everyone else that's supporting this event and our live broadcast. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We'll see you guys at 12:30 with the finals for the Women's Championship.
Go Val.